let's not beat around the bush. Borderlands 3 would be absolutely perfect on Nintendo Switch. It would be an ideal fit. From its focus on gameplay to its co-op emphasis, this would be such an incredible experience if it was coming home to our hybrid this fall. Now, the fact of the matter is, it's not, and maybe it never will. But after playing a bunch of Borderlands 3, Gabe, man, this really would be the third-party home run for 2019.
To say that I am jealous of you because you already played Borderlands 3 and I haven't is an understatement, Zach. I actually really like Borderlands. It's a fantastic series, except for one entry. I don't like the Handsome Jack game very much. Other than that, the original and Borderlands 2, they were awesome games. They introduced a bunch of guns and a bunch of fun, some very unique characters, some very funny ones as well. I love the world. And seeing that 3 is coming, but it's just not happening on Switch was a bummer for me, Zach. It really was.
Yeah, and there's no word right now on it happening. We know that 2K is very invested and interested in the Switch. They were so impressed with the Civ 6 sales. They want to do more on the platform. We really thought Gearbox was going to come to PAX East with a Borderlands announcement of some sort for the Switch. It didn't happen. We're getting Bulletstorm. Could something be in the works in the future? I think there is an opening, and I really loved my time with Borderlands 3 because it focuses on so much that I feel the Switch focuses on. It's gameplay over everything, right? This is a looter shooter that emphasizes a 30-hour campaign, that emphasizes a storyline with a diverse cast of characters, a whole lot of environments. It prioritizes content and what I'll call last-gen depth over the more games-as-service model that we're seeing plague the industry today. And that feels right at home with Nintendo. What do? They prioritize gameplay over everything. They prioritize making sure you have a whole lot of content on that cartridge over stringing you along with DLC. And they definitely prioritize co-op. And this game on other platforms has 2-player split-screen local co-op. It has 4-player online co-op. And as you're seeing on screen right now, throwing my Borderlands 3 captured footage, I recorded it on a PC, throwing it on a Switch PNG there for you to see what it could be like. Taking this on the go in the fall and playing with you, Gabe, would be so awesome. Each of us on our Switch, portably busting through these worlds and collecting all the crazy guns. Man, it really is such a bummer because I reiterate, this would be the third-party home run of the year on Switch.
Man, that would be amazing. You just described the dream, though, Zach. I think it's a big mistake to not have games like this on Switch. We were talking off air a little bit, and I think we both came to the consensus that if Wolfenstein's Youngblood, or even Wolfenstein 2, honestly, if Doom Eternal can run on Switch, I don't know that this can't. There's going to be some downgrades, obviously, but I think for me, I'm okay with them at this point. The visual downgrade just for the ability to play portably on Switch, I had zero problem with them with Mortal Kombat 11. Yeah, it's a little ugly, but the game's still fun as all hell. So I think that Borderlands 3, the scenario you're painting where we're sitting there playing together, would be really great. And it's just such a bummer that it's not happening. I hope that something Borderlands happens at some point, because even if the Switch can't handle Borderlands 3 for whatever reason, even though I did just mention some very graphically intensive games that are on Switch already and, run very well. What about the original? The original was on 360. Borderlands 2 was on 360. Yeah, they've been remade and you can play them in 4K now if you want to. But there is a version of that game that can run on Switch. Can we have that?
I really hope so. And you're right. I don't think that it's out of the question visually. The scope of the game is, I think, what would stymie a Switch release for Borderlands 3. They have now the interplanetary travel. I don't know how many planets there are, how many areas, but it seems like a very substantial amount. And packing all of that into a cart may not be possible. Or maybe it is. We've seen games that have released and then later down the road do get a Switch iteration. But you're right. Even giving us Borderlands 1 and 2 would be such a welcome addition. We've had so much fun lately with games like Mortal Kombat 11 on Switch. Heck, even with older ports, being able to take them on the go, Darksiders War Mastered Edition, the recent Sniper Elite V2 remastered. So it's not a total loss to get at least some part of the franchise on Switch. And again, I was so impressed because I went into Borderlands 3 wanting them to show how the series has evolved. And I left saying, hey, it really hasn't evolved, but in fact, I'm so glad that it hasn't. Primarily because evolution in 2019 means, a very limited amount of content at launch, with probably a lot of issues, and eventual patches, and finally a drip feed of content, repetitive missions, really impressive visuals, really impressive world, but a lot of emptiness. And this game is shirking so many of those trends and instead giving you character, story, lore, tons of content, and keeping the emphasis on, in my opinion, what games should be about. The fun of the game, the gameplay of the game. And at any level, Borderlands has done just that. So if we can get that on Switch, I think it would be so cool. Obviously, way cooler to get Borderlands 3. And I implore them to try, at least give it a go. We've seen companies say, like, hey, they're trying out the idea. I think even the recent Rage 2 talked about Bethesda and Avalanche. Hey, we'll at least consider trying to get it on Switch. It might not be possible given the scope and scale, but we'll at least try. And I hope that the team over there at Gearbox at least give it a go. Because at some point, the Switch audience is just so hard to ignore. And I know that 2K is feeling that with wanting to get more ports. But I honestly feel Borderlands 3 would steal the show. And it would truly give Nintendo the multiplayer title they're missing for their Nintendo Switch Online service, especially this year.
Yeah, I mean, that would be cool, and you're touching on this a little bit, right? But I think part of the reason why I have been enjoying some of these older games is because you're right about the current state of gaming. Like, so much of it is, like, broken and unfinished games, and there's still some really amazing stuff coming out, particularly on Switch, and like a lot of what Nintendo's been doing. Sony has been doing a fantastic job with their exclusives as well, but this is staying traditional on purpose. It's not like they couldn't iterate. I'm sure they could have in many ways, but they're choosing to maintain a little bit of what gaming used to be, I guess. And Zach, I don't know if you remember this, but there was a Borderlands game on Vita. If there can be, it was Borderlands 2, I believe. If that can happen on Vita, it can absolutely happen on Switch. Randy, make it happen, man.
1 and 2 are undoubtedly, I think, a sure thing in terms of workability. It's just, do they want to? Do they feel like it is a viable, productive use of their time and efforts? But Borderlands 3, let's also be clear that it does make some steps forward. Now guns have multiple firing modes. The graphics have been notably improved. It's hard to tell if you don't go back and look at the old games, but when you compare them side to side, they really have cleaned up and enhanced the visuals substantially. They are adding interplanetary travel. Your base is now a spaceship, so they're taking things to a far greater amount of environments with a far greater amount of variety, and that is a next-gen concept, right? Expanding games, taking things to multiple planets, very different and diverse environments. They are packing in more guns than ever. They have guns with legs. They have guns that consistently, in my time at the game, felt new and important. I was swapping weapons frequently, and so many were so cool, from guns that did walk around and explode, to guns that could switch between electric shotgun and fire shotgun, to guns that could switch between detonator slugs and impact slugs, from guns that could switch from full auto hip fire to zoomed in burst fire. So they are doing things to make the experience better, but they have retained the core, the foundation, and frankly the UI of what Borderlands used to be, to ensure that gameplay stays central. And I wish it was on Switch. I wish this was something that we were able to get excited about, because it would be not only the third-party title, not only the co-op online title, but the shooter title that really cemented for Nintendo Switch fans that, hey, you get the great games too. And Borderlands 3 is awesome because it was announced and it's coming out super soon. It's releasing in September. It's right around the corner. What a great way to kick off a fall that included Animal Crossing, Luigi's Mansion 3, Pokemon Sword and Shield, Doom Eternal, by also having Borderlands 3. And Doom Eternal will probably be a fantastic showpiece for the system as well. And if they do manage to hit their intended day and date release, that'll be fantastic. But I do feel like the co-op multiplayer emphasis, the more kind of fun, vibrant art style, and just the overall vibe that Borderlands exudes, it would be right up the Switch's alley. And it is going to be sorely missed this fall. I hope that they're able to figure something out. Like you mentioned, I'll take a reduced version. It doesn't have to be 100% the same visually. It doesn't even have to be 100% the same load-wise. If you need more time on that black screen, Randy, it's okay. You got boost mode that you can take advantage of now, right?
Yeah.
But I just think you and I on a plane, even if we're playing solo, Borderlands 3 would be exquisite, Gabe. Absolutely exquisite.
It really would be.
And sadly, it's not happening. Let us know if you agree, though, that Borderlands 3 would be perfect on Switch. And would you want 1 and 2? You know, final verdict, Gabe. Are you happy if we get a collection?
Collections don't happen as often as you think they do. They'll sell you the game separately. They'll sell you the game separately.
They probably would.
Yeah.
But even 2?
Yeah. Yeah. I would be happy with that for 20, 25 bucks. Yeah. Keep the price right, man. That's my only concern. I don't mind playing games over as much as you do. I honestly enjoy it sometimes.
Right.
So
the hard thing for me is like releasing that after in a post Borderlands 3 world.
Yeah.
Like we all just played Borderlands 3 and now going backwards. It would be a great lead up to Borderlands 3. It would have been great if it got announced at PAX East for like June.
Yeah.
So I'm a little bit less warm on the idea of them putting that there, although I do think it's better than nothing, especially for those that don't have the opportunity to play Borderlands 3 or just want to be able to play it portably. But my secret hope is that they can concoct some sort of master plan, partner with some Switch expert studio, and get this thing on the platform. Let us know your take in the comments down below. Hit that like button if you enjoyed the video and would be pumped to see Borderlands 3 on Switch. In the meantime, everybody, thanks so much for watching. Have a fantastic day. From myself and Gabe, Switch Force out.